Hello friends, welcome to another reel by Bharat Raghu. Today we would be looking at Bengal and the role of the left in Bengal. So we would be concentrating on what was the role of the left in ruling the state, in nurturing the state, in the contributions of the left, and what were its shortcomings. So we'll be concentrating on these aspects. So we'll be looking at this interesting book, West Bengal's Jyoti Basu, which basically is written by Surajit Kumar Dasgupta. It's a political profile. It's a pretty interesting book. It highlights Jyoti Basu as the CM, what his contributions were. But we will be looking at overall from the left. Okay, so let's get started. When we say the left in Bengal, first we need to understand who is the left in Bengal. So the left in Bengal comprises of, first, the CPIM, which is the Communist Party of India Marxist. Then you have the CPI, which is the Communist Party of India, CPI. And then you have many other parties, which is like the forward bloc, like the flag over here, which is Subhash Chandra Bose's former party. Subhash Chandra Bose had formed the All India Forward Bloc. The Forward Bloc is part, the RSP, Revolutionary Socialist Party. So there are lots of parties which together form the left front in Bengal. So that's why it's never been like a CPIM government. It's been a left government. So they always have an alliance since the formation of the first left front government in 1977 in Bengal and to this date. Okay, so let's just understand how it started. So Bengal has, as we know, a history of partition, and there was a lot of communal tensions in Bengal. And with the 1950s and 60s, so basically there was first initially, like everywhere in the country, there was a Congress dominance all over the country and in Bengal as well. Slowly there were movements which started in Bengal. It had started basically in the 1940s, 50s itself, where leaders like Jyoti Basu, of course, who were like the pioneers, who had actually studied, say, in England, and they had studied and they had come back and they had joined the trade union movements, the railway movements, the railway union movements, things like that against the British Raj. And that, so basically it started with that tradition of aligning with the workers and the peasant movements, and these movements had strengthened a lot during the 1940s, 50s, 60s. There's this famous Tebaga rebellion where against the zamindari class of Bengal. So these kind of pro peasant movements and pro worker movements were very strong in Bengal. The influence of the Soviet Union, the formation of the Soviet Union, had a profound influence on Bengal for sure. And Marxism as a study, Marxism as had deep rooted, started getting deep rooted in Bengal. And a lot of great freedom fighters, including Bose, including like Jatin Das, including all those stalwarts from Bengal, were very heavily influenced by socialism and basically Marxism. So it's like Marxism became home at Bengal, and that's where the left started gaining. And till the 1977, when they actually formed the government, before that they were like in a coalition once with the Bangla Congress, which was like a split of the Congress. So they had formed an alliance with the Bangla Congress and formed one of the, like a united front kind of a government. And Jyoti Basu was the deputy CM over there. And even before that, Jyoti Basu had been a legislator right from 1946 when he contested the first polls and things like that. So he's been in the game since long time. Okay, so 1977, the left first time wins power in Bengal, and this is a landmark year. This is after the emergency in India, and a lot of there's a wave of non-congressism, and throughout the country there are lots of non-congress governments which first time take place in South, and DMK comes to power and things like that, so there is a change in the air, and that's where left wins power. Okay, and Jyoti Basu becomes the CM, right? And so let's describe the tenure of left in Bengal in two halves. There have been mainly two halves, and there are two CMs basically. One is Jyoti Basu the other is Buddhadev Bhattacharya. So let's first focus on Jyoti Basu. Jyoti Basu, what was his lasting contribution? What did they do when they came to power? So Jyoti Basu's first challenge was, there was a heavy and a big zamindari class in Bengal, and a lot of power as well as revenue was with the zamindari class. So his first point was, he had to take the independence slogan, which was land to the tiller. That means land should belong not just to big zamindars, but also to the tenant farmers, the sharecroppers. So what he did is land reforms, and this was landmark. Land reforms happened in India under Jawaharlal Nehru as well, but the scale to which Jyoti Basu could take it, its implementation, is his success, his greatest success. So what he did was, huge tracts of land were redistributed, and there were land reforms carried out through the programs, the West Bengal, every 5-year kind of plans, and millions and millions of sharecroppers and small farmers, tenant farmers were benefited, and that's how left, got the base, got the left in the rural became something which could not be replaced, because there was so much overwhelming support for the left, especially in the rural side. That is one of the major accomplishments. Of course, as Jyoti Basu himself puts it in many of the interviews, later, once he steps down as CM, he brings up that the industrialization in Bengal was not to the mark to which he had wanted it, and there were mistakes which they made in the euphoria when they came to power. They were mistakes, as he himself admitted, where there was this, for example, this concept of gherao, as he says it. This term was actually kind of invented in Bengal, and it got into the English dictionary, Oxford Dictionary. Gherao is like where you kind of gherao the unions, go and gherao the industrialists and things like that. So basically there was this pro-worker sentiment as the left was in Bengal, but the unions kind of thought that, okay, we could do whatever we want. So that's where it took time for them to make those corrections, and that's where the flight of capital took especially during the initial 10 years of Jyoti Basu's rule. So as they were concentrating on the rural side, these issues were also happening on the cities, basically in Calcutta, right, where a lot of industry took flight. Then he started concentrating, both he and Buddhadev, who later became the CM, they both used to make many trips to Japan, to other foreign countries, to invite foreign capital, and they understood that Marxism is a science where it has to evolve, basically like how the socialist market economy in China started evolving during the 1980s. That's when they understood that state capitalism, public sectors are not the only way where you can grow. You need to have a very good blend of capital as well as public sectors. So they started getting like Haldia Petrochemicals, that's a very Mitsubishi basically, and they started going to foreign capital, IBM and all those started coming in. So they realized it late, but they did make amendments and they tamed the unions. So Jyoti Basu tamed the unions. That was another important contribution. So he was the one who they built the unions, but then when they were in governance, they tamed the unions. That's another major contribution of the left. Moving on. So another very important, as we know, Bengal was at the heart of partition, right? And there's a lot of communal hatred and communal tensions between the two communities, which Jyoti Basu especially, he played the balm of peace and he healed Bengal. He brought in secularism. He was the true meaning of secularism was established in Bengal, where both the communities lived in peace and they started moving beyond these petty concepts of petty issues of religion and this. They started moving more towards humanity, and that took the center stage under left. And the best example of this is when the Babri Masjid demolition took place, as well as during the 84 Sikh riots. Bengal was the safe haven for the minorities and those who were prosecuted. So Jyoti Basu's Bengal became, the harbinger of peace and secularism. So these are the major contributions. Let's move on to the successor, which is Buddhadev Bhattacharya. right? So he came in 2000, early 2000. So already 24 years of Jyoti Basu and left was there, but they were winning, and the left was winning, but there was a lethargy amongst the voters, amongst even the cadre. So that's when Buddhadev comes in with fresh ideas. He, just like Deng Xiaoping in China, understood that socialism has to evolve. Socialism has to be a market economy where, of course, the commanding heights would be with the state, but the otherwise innovative sectors would be with where capital can come in, fresh ideas, entrepreneurship can come in, and that's socialist market economy kind of a concept is what Buddhadev Bhattacharya starts bringing in. He starts developing, as we know, the Bidhanagar, the Salt Lake City. That's where Calcutta, although it started late, but that's where IT starts booming in Bengal, and lots of colleges, engineering colleges. So they start late, but they have IT coming in, and now Bengal, Calcutta is pretty much a good, a good hub for IT capital. And it's all because of Buddhadev Bhattacharya and his predecessor, Jyoti Basu. What else? So he brings in this Haldia Petrochemicals, as I said, Mitsubishi. So they bring back the core industries. Japan's investment in India was highest in Bengal during Buddhadev's time. So Japan investment increased. So, and then of course, as we know, that's what brought his end to Buddhadev, where he tried to get in Tatas. He wanted the nano plant there, and he wanted, because he knew that once the automobile industry of Tata comes in, there would be many which follow, and that's what he wanted, but it backfired. It wasn't handled well by Buddhadev, and the left as well as the opposition, played their politics, and basically the left was dislodged out of power in 2011 or so, and that's where Mamta comes in. So this is like a brief contribution of Buddhadev and Jyoti Basu, the left in Bengal. So to summarize, friends, left has been the epitome of secularism. It doesn't go with majority appeasement or minority appeasement. Its policies are strictly about humanity, about science, and there is no pettiness involved. And that's what we saw in the left. They brought a calming peace to Bengal. They started getting industry. They did huge land reforms. And as we know, since the left has been out of power now for many years, the communal sentiments have risen back in Bengal. So it's kind of almost, a proof that till the left was there, there was secularism. And once the left has been voted out of power, the communal sentiments have risen in Bengal, and that's what is visible today. So let's hope the left can revive back. They are working. They have a new they have a new state secretary in Mohammad Salim. They have been putting in a lot of youngsters, for MLA and MP elections, and they have, of course, they haven't been winning, but it's making a comeback. The left is improving. Let's hope for the best in future. Bharat Raghu signing off.